Christmas is coming early as Nigeria's federal government has announced 50% reduction in transportation costs along 22 interstate routes during the Yuletide season. Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, who chairs the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Presidential Intervention, disclosed this when he briefed State House correspondents at the Aso Rock Villa in Abuja. Let's hear him.
In the spirit of Christmas and the end of year festivities, President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, in another demonstration of his love for Nigerians, has approved that the federal government should intervene to bring down the cost of public transportation to allow our compatriots who want to travel to visit their loved ones and hometowns to do so without stress and the extra burden imposed by the high cost of transport around this period.
Was the Nigeria's Solid Minerals Development Minister, Dele Alake, talking about the government's directive as directed by Bola Tinubu. Now, from a transport hub in Lagos, Perpetua Fasani Peter is standing by for more updates on this. Perpetua, thank you so much for standing by.
Thank you, Lekan. Okay, so very quickly, just like Dele Alake already said, this is a 50% reduction. The reduction is for minibuses, luxurious buses, while we have 0% pay for those who will be traveling via the train. So that's the information we have right now. And I'm here at the Ojota Park. I've been to about 2 or 3 parks around this vicinity this morning. And one of the things I've come to realize is that a good number of the people are either not aware of it or they don't even care. They are not bothered.
So that draws a question. Of course, if they say they do not know, it's understandable. But then having to break the news to them, one would have expected probably a considerable number of them being excited about having to pay half of what is expected of them to pay to commit themselves from point A to point B. So was there anything they said as regards why they do not care whether they have to pay more or lesser than what is expected?
Okay, I'm sure if you were looking at me, you see that I couldn't hear you clearly, and at some point I had to press my earphone into my ear. But if I get you correctly, if you're asking about the reaction of the people over here, well, to a large extent, they are not excited about it because I mean, if something doesn't favor them, then why should you be excited? I tried to talk to some passengers and I realized that some of them are not even aware of this information. And for those who are aware of the information, they do not even know how it's going to work. So there's that question of practicability. There's that question about awareness. There is that question about information. There is that question about how is it going to work. And this is the thing we see that, this is the same thing even with the transporters. Because I tried to speak to some of the transporters. I need to put it out there that they do not talk to anyone on camera. They have information not to divulge information whatsoever. However, I got them to talk to me in confidence and then they said they are not aware for some of them. And for those who said they are even aware, they said that their parks had not been contacted. There hasn't been any information or any form of partnership or negotiation between the federal government and their own unions as far as they can say. And I think it's important to also mention that I remember the NATO chairman was also speaking, and one of the things he said was that the federal government cannot compel himself and his members to abide by this 50% cut. And so there's that question about how is it going to work? And this is a question that was answered by the MD of NRC, that's the Nigeria Rail Corporation. And while he was speaking, Mr. Okira, by the way, Fidel Okira, he said that, during the conversation started some time ago, and as last week when they had last weekend when they had the final conversation, they were saying that some specific transport companies were picked actually. So we don't have this information out there. So it takes you going the extra mile to talk to people who were in that committee, to talk to people who were aware of that particular information for you to know that it's not even open to every transport company. There are select transport companies, there are select routes. According to Mr. Okira, I listened to him this morning. He also said that there are even select number of people who are going to enjoy this particular minibus or luxurious bus like that. So that tells you that, it's important that information trickles down, because I remember trying to talk to the people at this particular park over there. A lot of them were saying things like, That's like Yoruba way of saying it's none of our business. It's not happening here. We're not aware of it, and we're not beneficiaries and all of that. So that's what I can tell you for now. If you're asking me about how people are reacting to it.
It's quite interesting that a lot of people are saying that they are not in cognizance with what the directive coming from the presidency is. Of course, according to a report, the federal government said that it will be working with transport workers, with the workers' union, road transport unions, even the Nigeria Railway Corporation, to ensure seamless delivery of this presidential initiative. So now that we're having a huge departure from what the presidency had said yesterday, now that's going to be a big problem. But I quickly want to ask from you, what is the full meaning of you said a NATO chairman gave a directive or reacted to what the president said. What is the full meaning of that, NATO, if you could also understand? Hello, Perpetua, can you hear me? Hello, Perpetua. Oh my! I guess we can't hear Perpetua. Perpetua can't hear me anymore. But it's quite interesting that what is happening on the streets is different from what the president had said in terms of reduction in fares, 50% slash on fares for Nigerians, just as we prepare for the new year. Perpetua, can you hear me? So, Perpetua, I said I want to confirm the full name of NATO that you mentioned earlier. You said the NATO chairman reacted to the presidential directive that was handed down yesterday. I just wanted to understand what the full meaning of that NATO is, what it means.
Okay, so for him, he was saying that his team or his group cannot be compelled to abide by that particular directive, and that, he was just trying to say that for this to happen, there has to be some form of partnership, there has to be some form of conversation, and he just wanted to know the workability. How is this going to work, the practicability? And that was exactly his own concern. But of course, like I said earlier, it now makes sense looking at what Mr. Okiria said, saying that they already have, partners, they already have select transport companies that they want to work with to make this work. And then still looking at, even if we're to look at the train aspect, for the train aspect, he also said that something like this has happened before. And one of the things he said during the meeting was that they should ensure that diesel was made available for the trains. And so for him, he said he's going to take delivery of the diesel between today and tomorrow, just to ensure that there is a smooth sale, there is a smooth implementation of this particular directive, especially on the rail side. And then he was also saying that he was actually at a particular meeting which also involved the transporters, that's the road users, that's the one for the road users. However, he left at about 9 p.m. yesterday, so he doesn't know, he's not aware of how they concluded or how the meeting concluded. But he was saying something like maybe towards the end of today or by tomorrow, we might have more information about the workability, how that is going to work, the implementation, and maybe we'll also get to know the transport companies that are involved. Maybe we'll also get to know the routes that are involved, because he highlighted about 2 or 3 routes. He talked about Abuja to Kaduna, Abuja to Kano, Abuja to some other places, and I was wondering why it was all Abuja to. Why are we not seeing maybe Lagos to? Why is everything starting from Abuja to Lagos and to other places? But of course, I want to believe that we'll have answers to these questions before the end of the day, because this is something that Nigerians are excited about. I want to believe many people will be excited about it. If you had to pay 38,000 naira to travel from here to another state, and the federal government is saying, you know what, you pay just 19,000 naira, I believe that 19,000 naira would do a whole lot. You might just save that money, you might use it for something else, which of course at the end of the day your pocket is going to smile, right? So I want to believe it's a good initiative, but then the implementation is important. It's also as important as the directive.
Okay, well, I just want to be sure, is there a partnership between the Nigerian government and probably private transport companies? I just need your response in about a minute. If there's anything you've garnered as regards that, probably the Nigerian government is trying to partner with a private company instead of the general public transport organizations that we have. Okay.
Okay, so for here, from NURTW, I've also spoken to people from RTEAN, and for them, I think the first person I spoke to said, he was just sharing that information from me for the very first time. And for the other persons, to a very large extent, they're not really so aware, really. They don't even know what's happening, And for some of them, information trickles from federal to state and then to, and all that, yeah.
So much for giving us the updates. We appreciate that. Now, Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, that is Dele Alake, said that relevant stakeholders in the industry have been discussed with, but that is not what we are seeing. But then maybe Nigerians will just have to wait, maybe for a few more hours, for a few more days, to see how the directive will take effect. So that is it on today's edition of Business Edge. Don't forget to visit our social media handles at News Central TV. Of course, that's what it is. Head on to our website, www.newscentral.africa, and call it download our app on App Store and Play Store. I am Lekan Onabanjo. Thank you so much for joining us. To stay with us, we'll bring you the news at the top of the hour.